Real estate has become almost sacred in this country, practically a religion. Criticize it even slightly, and you risk being surrounded by a crowd ready to defend its honor. But here's the big question. Do you believe the saying that real estate only goes up? Be honest. Have you ever heard it, believed it, or even said it yourself? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to see where you stand. Let me share a story. It all began with a simple message that showed up in my inbox not too long ago. The sender, a real estate enthusiast, of course, confidently declared that real estate only goes up. It wasn't framed as a question or an invitation for discussion. No, it was a statement delivered with certainty of someone pointing out the color of the sky, or that pineapple does not belong on pizza. You know, one of those things that they say with absolute conviction. I did not respond to him directly. Instead, I took the thought to my Facebook page and posted something lighthearted, almost playful, about how quickly we can be to forget about what happened in 2008. It was meant to be a gentle reminder, but the responses, let's just say, they sparked a wildfire of opinions. Among the responses was one from a YouTuber whose content I've admired for a very long time. I won't name names, but I was a little disappointed that he called me out for preaching the crash. The irony is that I don't think there's a crash coming. My best guess is that the market will likely stay flat for a while, but that's besides the point. The real issue is this. Real estate, like any investment, carries risk. And saying that real estate only goes up completely discounts that risk. It's not just misleading, it's dangerous. When people repeat this phrase, they're effectively telling you that there's no risk. They're saying that you can buy now and not worry about a thing. They're implying that you can sleep soundly at night, confident that nothing will go wrong. But that's not how investing works, not even in real estate. As a real estate investor myself, I sleep better at night knowing that things can go wrong. I've taken steps to ensure I'm prepared if things go, when things go wrong. Acknowledging risk keeps me vigilant, prepared, and realistic, because ignoring risk is how you set yourself up for failure. Let's take a moment to unpack why this myth exists in the first place. Real estate has almost a cult-like following. Owning a property is seen as the ultimate sign of success. It's the American dream. And for many, including myself, it is a dream that has paid off handsomely. I've done better in real estate than I have in the stock market, and I'll be the first to say that it has been a fantastic investment for me. But the belief that real estate only goes up overlooks something critical: timing. If you bought a property in 2006, you probably weren't feeling too great in 2008. It took years, sometimes even over a decade, for people to recover the value of their homes. For some, that recovery never came. Now, if we tweak this statement to real estate always goes up in the long run, I could agree to an extent. But even then, I would be very cautious against using the word always. Let me illustrate this with a real-life example. Sarah and Mark both bought homes in the same neighborhood, but their stories could not be more different. Sarah bought her home in 2007, right before the market crashed. She paid top dollar, believing the hype that prices will only go up. But then the crash hit, and her home value dropped by 40%. She could not sell without taking a massive loss, so she held on, hoping for a rebound. It took her nearly 12 years to break even. Mark, on the other hand, bought in 2012 at the bottom of the market. By then, the prices had hit rock bottom, and he was able to snag a great deal. Over the next 8 years, his home's value doubled. The difference? Timing. Sarah and Mark both purchased real estate, but their outcomes could not have been more different. This isn't to say that Sarah made a mistake or Mark was a genius. Rather, it is a reminder that real estate is a long game and you need the resources to ride the ups and downs. If Sarah's home had been a rental and it was sitting vacant for, let's say, 2 months, she might have had to sell at a huge loss. Instead, she had the resources to ride the downturn. Sarah's story is a powerful reminder of timing. But there's another factor often overlooked: inflation. A common argument among real estate enthusiasts is that property is a hedge against inflation. I've made this argument myself, and it is a valid argument to an extent. It is not a guarantee. Inflation can also erode the real value of your gains. For instance, if your home appreciates by 3% annually and inflation is running at 4%, you're actually losing purchasing power. A report from Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas found that while housing often kept pace with inflation, it does not always outperform it. In fact, during periods of rapid inflation, like in the 1970s, housing markets often struggled under the weight of high interest rates and stagnant wages. Still, I will say that real estate is probably probably the best hedge against inflation there. But my point is that it is not always a guarantee. Let's look at some of the comments I received on the Facebook post. The first comment said, it only goes up over long periods of time, just like the stock market. I actually responded to this comment because I completely agree. Another comment said, real estate was never meant to be a short-term investment. There are short-term opportunities, but historically, the long game has always paid off. Mostly agree, but there are parts of the country that haven't fully recovered, but those are the exceptions. Then there was John who said that 2008 was an anomaly. Banks will never do that again. Real estate only goes up over a 10 to 15 year period. Find me a time in history where it went down over 10 years. It hasn't. I'd be cautious to use the word always and never. We're already seeing 0% down mortgages, and property taxes are also rising, where we're seeing reports that some homeowners are struggling to make payments because of property taxes. It probably won't cause a crash, but the risk is still there. And then there's Justin who said that how much are those homes worth if you bought in 2008 and held on until 2022? Justin, I would ask you this. Did you have the resources to hold on through those years? Plenty of people lost their jobs in 2008 and did not have the luxury of waiting it out, and they had to sell their house. Also, some argue that 2008 was a one-off event, but it's not the only example. Look at Japan's housing market after the 1990s crash. It took decades to recover, and some regions never did. Assuming that it can never happen again is risky at best. Black swan events have one thing in common, and that is that no one sees them coming. Finally, a comment from a YouTuber I admire. Preach on the crash, bro. Let me be very clear. I have never preached a crash. Quite the opposite. I don't think we're headed for a crash. My prediction is that the market will likely stay flat for a couple of years before climbing again, meaning prices won't drop significantly, but they won't soar either. But this YouTuber did make some valid points about the lending practices in 2008. I mostly agree with this comment, but come on, bro. How can a seasoned investor like yourself agree with the post that says real estate only goes up and completely discount the risks? There are some comments where people shared their struggles during the 2008 crash as well, and this is one of those comments. We got stuck in a huge house we were flipping and had to pay to maintain it for 8 years before we could get out. All the hard work and saving went out the window. Within a month of closing, the appraisal dropped 40%. It was a nightmare. Ouch. And then Brendan said Bitcoin outperforms everything. Common sense. His name is Brendan. You see the irony there, right? The problem with saying that real estate only goes up isn't just misleading. It also encourages reckless behavior. When people believe something is a sure thing, they stop questioning it. They stop preparing for what could go wrong. None of this is to say that you should not invest in real estate. I own plenty of it myself, and I believe it is a fantastic way to build long-term wealth. But we need to approach it with clear eyes, because real estate is an investment, and like any other investment, it comes with risk. And ignoring those risks don't make them go away. It just leaves you vulnerable. So the next time someone says real estate only goes up, correct them. Tell them it goes up in the long run, but you need to have the resources to weather the ups and downs. I'm not preaching a crash. As a real estate investor myself, I'm simply reminding everyone that with real estate, as with any other investment, risk is part of the game. I'm reminding everyone that before jumping into real estate or any investment, ask yourself, am I prepared for the risk? Do I have the financial cushion to weather the unexpected? So before you go, if you've purchased real estate in the past, I would like to know, what's the biggest lesson that real estate has taught you? Whether it's your first home, a rental property, or a dream investment, share your story. Let's learn from one another.